Breaking news from Liberia. I'm currently in a weird police station. It looks like a drug enforcement office. I'm in the officer's room. There's a furious crowd outside. I filmed someone who didn't want to be filmed. One thing led to another, a crowd gathered, and it ended up in a fight. I got kind of evacuated. I'm waiting for the police to escort me out of here. And I wonder who comes first. Either police will arrive or the crowd will rush into the office. That's how the story of my Liberian imprisonment goes. I almost got ripped apart by a crowd of Liberians because I filmed a gambler by accident. I'll tell you the story later. For now, take a look at the country where it happened. Click like, leave a comment below, and join me in Liberia. It has lots of interesting things left. Liberia is a unique country. Its story started almost from scratch in the 19th century. Its founders were ex-slaves who immediately became slave owners. Unlike the rest of Africa, it has never been anyone's colony. Liberia was built on the model of the USA, but it turned into one of the world's poorest countries. How come? And what's going on here now? Let's have a look. The first people you see at the airport are those ones with sticks. They're putting things in order, otherwise people get wild. The name Liberia comes from a Latin word meaning freedom. Back in 1822, Black Americans arrived here and founded a colony of free colored people. The ex-slaves got back to basics on the land where their ancestors were taken to slavery from. Both American Colonization Society and the U.S. government supported them financially. They granted more than $100,000 for Liberia's foundation. According to the Consumer Price Index of the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, it currently equals $4 million. For their new state, the ex-slaves purchased a patch of land from African tribes. In 1847, the American migrants declared Liberia's independence, but their bonds with the USA carried on. Americano-Liberians were not eager to integrate with the African society. They kept on calling themselves Americans and based their religion, society rules, and politics on the antebellum traditions of the American South. The migrants considered native Africans inferior, enslaved them, and seized their land. The attitude caused mutual distrust and internal conflicts, and interfered with the country's development. In the 1930s, the country founded by ex-slaves was condemned for slave trading. Liberia was used to enroll people for working in large estates. The League of Nations, that turned into the UN later, recorded the workers living in bad conditions and basically being slaves. The country's president and high authorities gained good profit from that. After the investigation, President Charles King and other participating officials were forced to resign. The slaves' descendants couldn't create a paradise. Instead of a country of happiness and freedom, they got a country of poverty and free scattered waste. 1/3 of its population lives in Monrovia, the capital of the country. The name of Liberia's capital also expresses its close bonds with the USA. Monrovia is named in honor of U.S. President James Monroe. During his term, the first unchained slaves arrived here. Apart from Washington, Monrovia is the only world's capital named after a U.S. president. The town was severely damaged in 2 civil wars. In the summer of 2003, Monrovia even survived a month-long blockade during which the town's infrastructure and lots of buildings were virtually destroyed. Monrovia currently looks like endless slums. We're approaching the slums. As it happens, the poor areas are located exactly where the rest of the world usually puts the most luxurious houses, on the seashore. That's how the drain system works. It openly goes into the sea. And there. Here's the sea. Here's the sewage going into it. People live out here. I see houses over there. The black water is the sewage. On top of that, they throw plastic waste in here, and it all ends up in the ocean. The scene is very typical for many African countries. I saw the same in many poor countries with no disposal facilities. The shit goes directly into the ocean. My friends, if some of you are concerned about plastic waste and ocean pollution, try visiting the wonderful Liberia's beaches. Here we have a palm tree. Some may expect a pina colada, a lounge chair, and a beach umbrella next to it. Instead, there's plenty of plastic waste in here. That's what the ocean brought here after a light storm, and people crap right on the beach.
People who travel out, when they come from out, they come and say, oh, you see Sierra Leone, you see Guinea, you see Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is not better than Liberia. We are Liberian. The way you take care of a country, how people take a country to be like. We don't love our own country. When they take in the keke driver is responsible to go places where.
Alright, I'm shocked. They say it comes from the town streets when it rains. The streets are littered with plastic bottles because people throw the garbage all over the place. Then the rainwater takes it to the shore. It starts floating in the ocean and then gets back to the shore during storms. That's how a typical African shore looks like. It's the Atlantic Ocean. You may think it's clean and neat over here, but it's not. Here are goalposts. They play football here, and so they cleaned the patch. If they recycled garbage here, if they had recycling plants, they would probably buy plastic from people. The government could have sponsored it with grants or something. People would clean it themselves then. There are lots of, well, the country is poor. Lots of people are unemployed and live from hand to mouth. They could clean the shore then. In fact, some Liberians earn money with the garbage piles.
Who is this man? What he looking for?
He collects rubber, slippers.
Slippers. For himself?
Slippers. Yeah.
Or he want to sell them? Or?
Yeah, he sell them.
You know what I'm looking for? You know what I'm looking for here? You know what I'm looking for? I'll watch it and go sell it. Get my living from inside. But I don't want to go cause problem. I tell you, I ain't get no job. I ain't get no job since the work broke off.
Quality slipper, you sell it for 400.
Yeah.
400, okay.
When I quality slipper, I sell it for 400.
600, which is close to from here.
600 in a day, so it's $3.
Yeah. He's not always lucky to have both of them. So now he found this one, he's going to keep it.
Garbage is the national idea in Liberia. Some keep scattering it around, others collect it. The city has its own garbage troops. They sneak into backyards and clean them, like Liberian garbage warriors.
Who's these people?
These are MCC, Monrovia City Corporation. What they are doing now, they're going from street to street, trying to have the city clean before the festive season. The Christmas is around, so they just ensure.
I guess he's the manager because he has a stick to beat up his co-workers. All right, their working day started. The city garbage men started their job. They're not only cleaning the street, they're also filming their work for the reports. That's the most amazing thing I saw. People with brooms. They look like special forces, like a military unit. A real military unit. Do we take the mattress or not? A big question here. Let's take their mattress. That's it. Charge, charge. The woman's crying here because she's getting attacked. They finally decided to take away the mattress. The woman's crying. A car drove up here. They really are garbage special forces. They snuck into the backyard, took everything they considered garbage, cleaned up the backyard. A car drove up here, and they're loading the stuff in. There are several phone-equipped guys and policemen even I don't know if they're showing off for the camera or they always do it. Looks like they came here to defeat someone. It looks rather weird. I've never seen such kind of city cleaning. Remember, there's a crapped up beach some 100 meters away, with plastic all over the place. No one gives a damn. It looked like a show to me. Like some European company gave the money under the motto, "Make Africa Clean." They gave money to the local authorities. The authorities have to report the money, so they hired the special garbage forces and sent them in the backyard to work. Everyone's crying and whining. They brushed the backyard clean for the camera, threw away their personal stuff without asking, took away some old toys, mattresses, and umbrellas. They took everything that looked shabby, loaded it for the cameras, and drove away.
These are the people that are responsible to enforce that the rules and regulation in keeping the city clean is held up. So what they do is that they move from street to street, from compound to compound to make sure they are.
But they came to a private house.
Yeah. So
It's a private property.
Yeah, it's a private property. You'll find out if they ask you for, that's the inspector team. So the inspection team. So they're gonna ask you to open up so that they see that your yard is tidy and clean.
The garbage piles and ever-present slums don't surprise me. Liberia is one of the poorest countries, even in Africa. According to the World Bank, Liberia's GDP is one of the 10 worst ones in the world. According to the UN, Liberia is one of the world's poorest countries, and the poorest one in West Africa. According to the World Food Program, nearly 64% of Liberians live below the poverty line. Liberia's economy is in a poor state because of the civil wars and the following UN sanctions. The government problems affected the country's agriculture. In 2012, it took nearly 36% of the local GDP. The wars also resulted in the decline of human capital and urgent foreign investments. According to the UN, Liberia is the only world's country whose GDP directly depends on foreign investments level. The country's economy is currently recovering. In 2006, Liberia's GDP was only $1.2 billion. In 2018, it was higher than $3 billion. Liberia has huge reserves of iron ores, diamonds, and gold. It has plenty of forests and produces natural rubber. Local farmers grow coffee, cocoa beans, and palm oil for export, but the stable production here is impossible without the help of international organizations like the UN and foreign investments. More than 80% of the population are unemployed and live for several dollars a day.
Our wife, our women, this is what we live on. See our vessel? Okay, this is what we use to get on top of the water and fishing. Get fish.
An interesting point. Here, they cook meals. Here, they wash clothes. And here's the garbage they pee on.
How many layers of fish there?
Yeah,
1, 2, 3,
10 bags.
10 layers.
10 sessions. Sometimes we carry above. When the fish move. Here's the cheerleading for the fish women who can dry the fish and sell.
I'm in the capital city now. The place is several kilometers away from the city parliament, from the presidential palace and other government offices. We are in the slums. I can't see a single decent-looking building out there. It shows the level of Liberia's development vividly. It's funny to look at the filthy beaches of Monrovia, as Liberia is actually famous for its beaches. In 2019, the Lonely Planet Guide put the country on the list of the best travel destinations for its nice and, mind it, clean beaches. They say they are perfect for surfing. Maybe they meant crap and garbage surfing.
People use the area for toilet, for garbage.
That's a typical scene for Liberia. In many African countries, you can come to the shore and instead of beautiful and magnificent beaches, you see a garbage site full of waste. In Africa, they use the sea as a toilet and dump waste there. I'm in a village now, and they take all garbage to the beach. There's a dump site here, and it stinks. Some animals are fumbling in the garbage, but that's a usual African life. Sadly, they don't care about the ecology here. Here they sell coconuts next to the dump site. The sea gives a lot to Liberia. Not only fish, but also the opportunity to trade. Monrovia has the only free port in Western Africa. It was constructed by Americans who came here during World War II to buy rubber for military equipment. The port is artificial. It was created on Bushrod Island. It contains 4 piers. Transferring goods abroad via the free port makes up a large part of Monrovia's income. In May 2018, the port earned a record-breaking sum of $15 million. It mainly exports rubber and iron ores. The Liberian flag also helps the country in trading. Surprising, isn't it? That's the Liberian flag. It may remind you of the American one. It's because the first local politicians were U.S. migrants. The lone white star represents the independent African state. The flag is one of the most popular flags of convenience in the shipping field. A flag of convenience gives foreign ships' owners the opportunity to go into the sea under a flag of the state that had no severe international conflicts in its history. If a trading ship goes under the flag of a harmless state, it'll get low taxes and fees and avoid formalities. In 2010, nearly 2,600 foreign ships used the Liberian flag. The popularity is caused by low duties that still make up a large part of the country's income. Those are the templates. First, they turn a trunk into the lower part. Then they use boards to complete the sides. Those are the templates at the local shipyard. The guy's accepting bets. That's a local betting office. He has a magic device. I have no idea where we're going, but it's getting dirtier and wetter. The rain has stopped. The people are turning on the music, and life's getting better at the wonderful local streets. Well, the life got rainy and drenched all over. On the bright side, the rain washes the shit away into the ocean. Here's the street trade. First, they're selling DVDs, phone cases, a whole lane with DVDs. The music is blaring all over the place. It's time to enjoy the local traffic. The cars are not in a hurry. You can spend 1 or 2 hours on a 10-kilometer drive. The traffic rules are totally messed up. They overtake each other against traffic. No one gives a damn about traffic rules. Everyone is selling something on the roadside. As for the car's quality, you see, they look like rusty crap. In Europe, they'd go directly to trash some 10 years ago. But here, they keep driving them. For some reason, the Nike brand is very popular here. In Russia, they pronounce it Nike. You see, all tuk-tuks have Nike stamped on them. Even when the traffic is low, the maximum speed is like 10 kilometers an hour. Check this out. They have old American school buses here. They use them as public transport. They actually have plenty of American car rubbish here. The local architecture is rather dull. They simply put up shacks. That's the office of the local mobile operator called Orange. Some unfinished buildings, hotels, and traffic jams for no reason, because the guy is driving out and turning around right there. He ended up blocking the traffic. They don't really care about traffic rules. I'm in a Monrovia hotel. In its restaurant, almost all restaurants, especially fine ones, are owned by the Lebanese. All West African restaurants are Lebanese-owned. Here you can eat hummus, various Lebanese snacks, kebabs and stuff. Nearly everything connected to catering in Western Africa is Lebanese-owned. We're in the very center of Monrovia. Everything is littered with useless stuff. They're selling everything you may need, from meals to fish, and some old stuff. More people are coming up. Here they're proceduring. I wonder how they work here all day long, with the loudspeaker screaming away. Here's the shore. Here the kids are playing. They're playing football, by the way, right on the garbage. They keep running away, but it's actually a football field. A new Liberian football star may be growing up in the garbage right now. Let's see how their house looks like. Here are the toilets, flushing right into the sea. That's a passage. The rooms have no doors. It's pitchy dark in here. They have several LED light bulbs for the whole passage. I guess you can't see anything. Me neither. We're going along a house passage. There are dozens of rooms with people inside. There are lots of kids. A kind of melting pot. They're smoking fish here. Check this out. They got a nice haul today. Are those sharks? Sharks and marlins. Marlins are smaller, sharks are bigger. Sharks are huge. They cut off their fins, but didn't really clean them. Oh my, check this out. An enormous ray. His span is like 2.5 meters. That's a drying room. That's what will happen to our sharky. They'll cut it into pieces and dry them out. That's what it looks like. The problem is that they don't have a fridge or even power. They could freeze it for eating and selling, but as they have neither fridge nor power, the fish they don't sell, to whom I don't know, the fish goes to drying rooms. Here are the barrels. They put the fish in layers, like 10 or 15 layers. They add firewood down there, and it starts drying out. Ah, is it a bathtub? Yes. Here they heat up the water. Or maybe not, I don't know. You can wash up in cold water for 10 Liberian dollars. And for 20, for hot water, you must pay 20 Liberian dollars for your shower. Here are the tabs. An interesting point. The fishing boats are floating right in the slops, in the waste they bring here. They bring everything here. Endless maze of streets along the shore, consisting of drying rooms and slums. The barrels are everywhere. Even a cemetery looks like a dump site in Monrovia. There's an old cemetery in the center of Monrovia. It's not working anymore. It's one of the scariest places in here. Drug addicts hang out here. There is an abandoned house over there. There are dozens or even hundreds of drug addicts. They come to the cemetery to take heroin or cocaine. All the horrid drugs are easily accessible here. They sleep in graves. A horrible place. They bring garbage here, and people go through it, trying to find something to earn money for a draft. They take drugs here and sleep here in the graves.
These are wearing, the wear, people go hustle, get money, come enjoy yourself, smoke, lay down and sleep.
And what kind of drugs they smoke?
Yeah. Cocaine.
Cocaine?
I don't smoke now.
Not you, these people.
Those people smoke Italian white and cocaine.
Cocaine.
Yeah, Italian white.
What is this?
This is Italian white.
It's a 1 gram.
Yeah.
It's a pack, half pack.
It's half pack. Quarter grain.
Being in drugs addiction, I felt so bad. I felt so bad of being drugs user because I have been abused. People of my standard abuse me because I am a drugs user and I'm not satisfied. Because why? There is no opportunity for we the young people of Liberia. We the young people of Liberia will need opportunity. We need people that will come to our aid to give us job facility. Because for one fact, the reason why I smoke drugs, because I'm less busy. The adult man mind is the devil playground. That's the devil workshop. Because the first time I tried smoking it, I felt like everything was fine for me.
When was it? You were...
Oh, it was in 1999.
What age you was?
I was at the age of 10 years old.
10 years old.
Yes.
How many people live here?
The total number of people that I got here.
Carry you in the building.
The total number of people that there
300.
is about 350 men and women. Yeah.
So most of them live in this building, yes?
Of course, every one of them residing there.
The building is occupied by drug addicts. We mustn't come close because they're aggressive. We tried to enter it, but as they are stoned, they started reacting angrily. One more tried to enter it. No, we can't. You see, there's a guy who's about to smoke heroin, the one in yellow slippers.
Yes.
You have no job.
No job. No job. Yeah. Oh yeah, no job.
Anybody help you?
No. Nobody.
Government?
No.
Any help from the government?
No. I got no government help yet.
Before leaving this thing, we gotta get reliable area where we eat on time, we sleep on time, we sleep on time. So we're begging y'all when you have the chance to help us.
We need help. 12 good years. For me, I've been happy for 12 good years, no help.
We want the government to help us build rehabilitation fund, rehab center.
Why some people live in the building and some of them
people
here?
sleep here, but one is police rate is high when police rain. That when you see people coming in here to hide and sleep, because police come all night.
They warned me I could fall through. I must watch out. Not all of them are open yet, and I can fall through. The government took all bodies and bones away. There are only empty graves. The drug addicts use as their huts. Those towers are the fanciest spots. The guard must have used them back then. People live there now. They climb up there, take the ladder, and feel safe. Liberians tried to fight the poverty by writing mottos on the church fence. Besides, it helps them increase the literacy level. An interesting place we have here. Here's a church fence with important mottos. Love God more than money. Or like, the family that prays together stays together. Here are some wonderful sculptures. Welcome to the church. Look, here's amazing native art. Isn't that wonderful? It's not actually painted. It's shaped somehow. So that you don't think Monrovia is entirely horrible, I will show you better slums, a kind of Liberian middle-class slums. A center of civilization, a water pipe. Here they wash and dry their clothes and play ball. You see, each tap is locked so that you don't open them randomly. The girl is diluting something in her pot. Here are some stone houses. Some even have cars. Everything looks rather tidy. No waste piles here. Someone came up here in their Rattler. Here's an apartment block. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Well, it reminds me of Novosibirsk in the spring. People jump along the tire and stones path. Here's an amazing hospital, and you can tell it's a hospital. Here's a woman curing someone of a green infection that, oh, it's peeled off paint. I thought he had a kind of green rash. You see, no time for jokes. Here's the real Liberian life. Breaking news from Liberia. I'm currently in a weird police station. It looks like a drug enforcement office. I'm in the officer's room. There's a furious crowd outside. I filmed someone who didn't want to be filmed. One thing led to another. A crowd gathered and ended up in a fight. I got kind of evacuated. I'm waiting for police to escort me out of here. And I wonder who comes first. Either the police will arrive or the crowd will rush into the office. I was just released. They let me go, although the situation was close to critical. I was walking and posting a story on my Instagram. We entered a building. I didn't get which building exactly. I saw slot machines inside and stopped filming because I was not interested in them. First, their manager rushed at me. Then one of the clients started stressing out. Well, not exactly stressing out. He was clearly unstable and really irritated. Highly irritated. He yelled and waved his arms at me. That looked rather creepy. They said, "You filmed something here." My guide, the one who accompanies me here, started arguing with him. They locked the door. He said, "You can't lock us in here." And they ended up in a fight. Well, a kind of shoving or hustling, I'd say. A crowd started gathering at the game club, and you know, that was in the slums. It was at night, the guys had nothing to do, and now they got a free show. Everyone yelled, the crowd kept gathering, and behaved aggressively, shouting I had filmed something. I didn't get the reason for all the clamor. It was getting worse. Some security men arrived, some other people arrived too, and the crowd. In the end, some anti-drugs officers came, instead of the police. They sneaked me into their office. Their office looks like a low concrete box, without doors or anything. The club's manager or owner arrived and started blaming me for filming his highly confidential slot machines or something. At some point, my guide said, "No sense in court here, they're leaving tomorrow." And I was like, uh-oh, here comes the problem. In some 90 minutes, the police arrived. They put us all in their truck, drove us to our car, and we went to their office all together. There, the officers started interrogating us, trying to find out what happened here. First, the prosecution spoke. They blamed me for filming someone without their permission, and for causing a fight, for plenty of sins, I'd say. The tense moment was when some guy arrived and called himself a lawyer. You see, the slum guy who spent his last $5 on the slot machine turned out to have been a lawyer. A policeman told me they wanted to sue me. I thought, okay, if they come to terms with the police, they'll lock me here for a week or even longer. I'll stay in wonderful Liberia and wait for the trial. I'll be lucky to wait for it in the hotel. That felt lame. But let's pay tribute to the officer. He's a fine guy. First, he calmly hushed the scandal. People here are vigorous. They wave their arms around or start poking at you. He spoke professionally, didn't let anyone shout or interrupt the others, made everyone take their turns and speak clear. He let everyone have their word. I showed them my phone to prove I didn't film anything. He checked my deleted photos to see there were no photos of slot tickets or machines. The lawyer said they had no complaints and they let me go. The terrible mess I told you about can also be explained politically. The reason is constant coups and civil wars. As I said, Liberia was never under anyone's control. Although in 1914 Europeans colonized 90% of Africa, Liberians managed to stay free. Only Ethiopia could do the same. But in 1936, Fascist Italy occupied it. Liberia managed to avoid the fate. Liberians seemed to be bored without foreign enemies and started internal wars. After the World War II, Liberia got loans from the USA and turned into a significant rubber and iron ore supplier. But their economic success was senseless against the corruption and ineffective government. By the 1980s, strong opposition formed in Liberia. Group strikes and riots began. The revolts led to a coup. As a result, the president and his administration were killed. Fake election followed, and the power went to Sergeant Samuel Doe. He had to add 1 year to his age to be suitable for the minimum age of 35. Samuel Doe served as the president of Liberia for almost 10 years. He established a dictatorship in the country and survived several coups. After one of them, Sergeant Doe destroyed all his enemies at a pretext of safety and announced a curfew in Liberia. Doe was killed in 1990. One of the rebels' leaders, Prince Johnson, kidnapped him. This spectacle of his torture was videotaped. They broke his arms, castrated him, cut off his ear and made him eat it. After that, they murdered him. Some still think the rebels have eaten the previous president. After that, Prince Johnson, the murderer, worked as a state senator. During the presidential election of 2011, he got 12% of votes. After President Doe's death, Liberia got into a civil war among various ethnic groups. The group of the field commander, Charles Taylor, was the strongest one. He won the presidential election of 1997. According to the official data, more than 200,000 people were killed in the civil war. Taylor, the new president, didn't grant peace to Liberians either. In 1999, a new civil war began. New rebels wanted to dispose the old ones who had won the previous war. As a result, Charles Taylor was disposed and expelled from the country, and UN peacekeepers arrived in Liberia. By various estimates, from 50 to 300,000 citizens were killed in the Second Civil War. I talked to one of the Liberian Civil War participants for you to understand it better. Meet Joshua Blayi, known as General Butt Naked. Even in severe Africa, he was a total thug. He says he performed his first human sacrifice at the age of 11. After that, Blayi became a priest. After President Doe was killed, he was the head of the Naked Base Commandos military unit. All his combatants fought naked, with only their shoes on. Blayi claimed human sacrifices made his combatants invulnerable, as long as they remained naked.
My name is Joshua Blayi, and I was one of the war generals. I fought in defense of the late President Master Sergeant Samuel Kayam Doe because I was a priest to the tribe that he's part of. And so when the war started, as a priest, traditional spiritual.
Why you and your squad go to battles naked?
Because spiritually.
Blayi says he often ate people, cooked cocaine porridge, and killed at least 20,000 people with the help of his squad.
I stopped fighting in 1996 because I got converted as a Christian.
Mm-hmm. As I read, you practice human sacrifice.
Yeah, as a priest to my tribe, we believe that the gods do not talk to us except by appeasing him. And so I appease him with the general sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. And who is the person that you sacrificed? Do you remember the first time?
Well, yeah, when people suppose it's like you go to the doctor and you need treatment, you
also ate human flesh.
Yeah.
How often it was?
Every time you make a sacrifice.
10 times, 100 times?
Probably more than 1,000 times.
Can you tell me about rituals, what you and your squad perform before battles?
Yeah, it is believed that as a priest, I could not go to the front. It means it's polluting my priesthood. So I needed to do a pre-battle ritual to appease my throne. So we do this ritual.
During the war, in your squad, there were children, yes?
Definitely.
How old they were?
Well, they were between the age of 9 and 17.
From 9 to 17?
17, yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, did they get any drugs?
Well, the human blood intoxicates by itself. And because they were supposed to be pure, quote unquote, so they did not do substance. The boys assigned with me were not permitted to do substance.
What about you?
No, I didn't take it.
Never?
No.
You never try any drugs?
No.
Blai claims he saw Jesus in 1996. After that, he called his crimes devil scheming and became a preacher.
How did you meet Jesus?
Well, I was on the front line and I heard this voice behind me. So as I looked back to see the person talking, he was 4 to 5 feet suspended from the earth, and he was brighter than any light I have ever seen. So I was forced to bow down my head. At this time, the blood stain of an innocent child was actually in my hands because we have just done the last ritual. And then he told me, he spoke my dialect because I was not fluent in English. He told me to repent.
What has changed in your life after that vision?
From that time, I have not gone back to battle. I have not made any human sacrifice. I have not hurt anyone. I have not robbed anyone. I have lived obeying the words of the Bible.
It may seem surprising, the man who committed so many crimes is in church instead of a jail.
Oh yes, after the war, Liberia was given the chance. Liberians gathered together and they were given the chance to choose between the War Crime Court directly and the TRC, which was modeled after South Africa. And Liberians, for some reason, choose the TRC. So the TRC did some investigations and we were questioned. So we went before the TRC and actually told the truth of everything we were involved in, like I'm telling you now. So I've been receiving different attacks, different death threats on my life.
That's how his life changed some 30 years ago. He was surrounded by boys who took part in battles with him, killed people, killed their fellow citizens. Now, he's surrounded by other boys, and he tells them to love God. His life did change drastically. President Taylor, against whom Blai fought, was no better than his predecessor. His campaign slogan was, "He killed my ma, he killed my pa, but I will still vote for him." Soon after Taylor won the election, another civil war started in Liberia. But the ex-rebel still had time for the foreign wars. For example, Taylor was tried for taking part in the Civil War of Sierra Leone. He was blamed for illegal trading. He sold diamonds from Sierra Leone and used the money to support local rebels. Naomi Campbell, the supermodel, witnessed in the trial. Taylor presented her a bag of diamonds. In the end, the Special Court of Sierra Leone condemned Taylor to 50 years in prison. He was the first African leader to be condemned by the International Court after World War II. After Taylor, Liberia was governed by interim leaders. In 2006, a woman was elected the head of the state. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was the first elected woman in Africa's history. For her severity, she was gained the same nickname as the famous Margaret Thatcher. She was called the Iron Lady. She had served as the president for 12 years. She won her second election with 90% of the votes. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf also won the Nobel Peace Prize. In 2018, she was enforced to resign and her place was taken over by a football player. George Weah is probably the world's most famous Liberian. In 1995, he was the first African player to win the Golden Ball Award. Most of his career took place in Europe. In 2005, he gave the presidential election his first try and lost in the second round to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. After the Iron Lady resigned, he finally became the president. The place of the vice president was given to Jewel Taylor, the ex-wife of the convicted former President Taylor. That's how the Liberian Game of Thrones looks. Almost all African cities look horrible. It doesn't matter if it's Cairo or Johannesburg. There's only one big city in Liberia. It's Monrovia. 1/3 of Liberia's citizens live here. The population in other cities is less than 100,000. There are not many cities in Liberia. I left Monrovia for a village to see how 2/3 of Liberian people live. Motorcycle taxis are the main village vehicles. There are lots of them. As soon as you raise your hand, even on an empty street, a motorcyclist turns up, ready to take you anywhere, at a cheap rate. Check this out, my friends. That's how people protect their motorcycles. He bought a new motorcycle and covered it with film, rolled it in film to protect it, so that it remains clean and neat beneath the film. Everyone in the village is cooking manioc. Manioc is a kind of plant. I'd compare it with potatoes. With potatoes, you can just pick it and eat it. But it's not that easy in case of manioc. Its raw tubers are poisonous. They contain cyanide that has to be taken away. Some soak it or use other ways. Some grind it up and dry it in thin layers. It makes the poison evaporate. Some soak it for several days. I'd say the process of preparing and cooking it is rather, not exactly hard, but laborious. Manioc is good for boiling, baking, or making flour for scones. There are many ways. Just so you understand, it's the main plant in Africa. 37% of African meals consist of manioc. That's how the local transport services look like. They take a tattered off-roader, like an old Toyota, and load it with junk. Up to here. They load them so heavy, their wheels go off. Check this out. They use a stone and a wooden board to support a fully loaded car.
Is it your car?
Yeah, this is my car.
Okay, what's happened?
What happened? Oh, this shop is already ripped. Yeah, and then they, you know.
He loaded it with fuel. It's super safe. The guy is fixing the back axle. He puts his car on stones and a wheel disc, and his car is fully loaded with fuel cans.
The gasoline, some of the places the tanker cannot go that far, so they're going to carry it.
They buy gasoline here and sell it where?
In Monrovia. They buy it from the filling station and transport it to the county so that they can sell.
That accident shows vividly they don't control the transport safety, not in a single way. First, I have no idea how they drive the rusty wreck. Okay, somehow it's still alive, but the guy loaded it up with gas, up to here, and put mattresses on top. That's just crazy. He's fixing it without unloading. He put it up on street stones and a wheel on kind of a weird pyramid, and they're sitting there and drinking booze or something. I don't know. That looks kind of weird. Someone's lucky to have a house on the roadside, and they can sell treats here. What do they have here? They have oil in small bags. Not everyone has money to buy a whole bottle, so they sell it in small bags. They are cooking a chicken paw here, a chicken paw in hot sauce. I think it'll be delicious. The village looks kind of wealthy. They have clay houses at least. Some of them even look solid. Everyone has splendid wicker chairs. It's a kitchen, by the way. That's how a kitchen looks. Here's a hearth and some beaters. They collect ashes for fertilization or something. The paintings are typical for Africa. Many people are illiterate here, so they paint the images for the people to understand it better. Here are medications, headache pills. They also have juice, and people see it's a drugstore. The same about the others. You go along the street and see the paintings. They've got no money and paint it themselves. I think the local feature is stunning. The walls are not taken by Chinese shop signs. Like in other countries, the word Chinese sounded kind of low grade. Shame on me. The walls are not taken by cheap shop signs and low grade posters. They actually represent art, and it's a good job for local artists. They can develop their skills and find new clients with their shop paintings. A photo and video studio. Check this out. The artist had problems with painting perspective, so he tried to paint a camera, but it looks weird. We're searching for the best bar in town. Here you see how good the artist was in painting the available range. It's not that easy to find food in such countries. Once, I spent a month in Africa, and I lost 7 kilos. Here's a kind of restaurant. They claim it's the best in town. Let's have a look. First, it looks nice. The tables look nice. Here's the owner. They even sell wine and beer. They have a crib for a kid, obviously. Here's one more room. I see a TV set. They can watch football or dance at night. Here's a generator. What is this? Cassava. Cassava, the same as manioc. You dip the piece in very hot sauce, and you use your hands to eat it. That's a cassava root. Liberia was founded by slaves' descendants. They saw it as a land of freedom and happiness, but they got a land of garbage and poverty. Maybe we should blame the years of slavery or something else, but Liberia resembles a fine country, even less than other African states. I hope someday the proud name of Liberia proves its worth, and the people can become free of poverty and anger, and of their wish to foul everything up. It's currently a land of chaos, not a land of freedom. If you're watching my channel without subscribing, it's also chaos. Correct it and subscribe.